How you doing? Back from Vegas, looking all right. I'm fairly tired. How are you feeling?
I'm tired. I've not had a good night's sleep since I've been back. For some reason, I've not been able to get my time zone sorted out for me sleeping.
I suppose the huge gash on Tyson's head probably gave you a bit of a sleepless night as well, didn't it?
Well, it certainly was a hair-raising experience, more for him than it was for me. But but he done it. He showed what he's made of. Tremendous heart, and fought his way through in really difficult circumstances. When you got a cut like that, or two cuts that he had, and the amount of blood that was coming out of them, which impaired his vision, he done tremendously well.
Have you spoken to him since?
Yeah, I spoke to him yesterday. He had the stitches taken out yesterday, and he was all okay. So he was all fine and ready to go. It's a cut. They're nothing cuts. Let's get on with it. And he's got quite a bit of a positive mentality about him regarding everything.
Yeah, I think having known Tyson so far as we have done throughout his comeback. It's not a surprise that a cut's not enough to keep him down.
It's just a flesh wound, nothing. Yeah.
Quite a significant one, though. It
was. I mean, like Monty Python, weren't it? Come back and say that again. Cut the arm off, the other arm and the legs, and carry on. But that's just how he is. That's what he's made of.
And the actual fight itself. Some we know what boxing fans are like. Everyone will find faults in everything, and a lot of people have said, "Oh, yeah, well, he was challenged against Otto Wallin and shouldn't have done because he was a relative unknown at the time." But also, on the positive side, I think he had a wide points victory against someone who was probably better than he thought he was with one eye. So it was actually a good night.
Well, Wallin, you've got to remember, and also if you're, from Wallin's point of view, and you look at his cornermen and so forth, they're watching a doctor go up a couple of times to examine it. Referee kept, looking at it. If I was in the opposite corner with, if I'd been in Wallin's, I'd be saying, keep on him, keep pressing him. The referee will stop it. Keep going, and that gives him a lot of impulse. Urged him on, and got the best out of him. But Wallin was an undefeated fighter, and you didn't get Tyson at his best because he was impaired. Had he been at his best, he may have stopped him. I don't know, but the fact of the matter is, you can't knock that guy as an opponent.
And I think quite a lot's been made of the fact that it didn't get stopped. But you do see in these bigger fights, they are allowed to go on a little longer. I think looking back to Badu Jack against Marcus Brown, I think he had that massive cut in the middle of his head, and he was allowed to finish the fight, but obviously lost because the cut impaired him that much. So it's still a testament to Tyson that he can finish it.
At the end of the day, you've got to look at the judge's card, and the judge's scorecards said what it was. He was winning the fight. He wasn't behind at any stage. He was winning the fight, and that's it. And the cut, back in the dressing room. By the time it got seen to, it stopped bleeding, and that was it. Cuts are awful, but because of the blood, it always looks much worse than it is.
And on the night, you said that it wasn't going to need. The doctor said it didn't need sort of extra plastic surgery, and it was quite a sort of clean cut, despite the fact it was enormous.
Yeah, as much as they were, one was quite a long cut, and the other one was on the eyebrow. So not on the eyebrow, on the eyelid, but they were pretty straightforward.
And another heavyweight in your stable we're here for today, Daniel Dubois, fighting on Friday night, Royal Albert Hall, the posh York Hall.
The posh York Hall, yeah, not a bad seat in the house.
And Daniel now going for, I think the tagline for him at the moment is all the belts, isn't it? He's just trying to pick them all up on the way up to the top. And how excited are you about seeing him going into the ring on Friday night?
I'm always excited about seeing him going. I spent the morning with him. We've done Talk Sport and a few other interviews and that, and he's becoming quite, he's becoming as confident out the ring as he certainly is in the ring. He give a good account of himself, and I want to see him back in action. I want to see him fight regularly. The more often he fights, the more experience he's going to get. We know he's a really big puncher. We know that he can, if he clips anybody, they'll go, or they'll certainly hurt them. And I just want to see him get a bit more boxing experience, and that can only happen from fights and obviously training for fights. So keep him busy. This fight on Friday, I don't want to hear again that it's a knockover, it's an easy job. He's fighting the guy who is who's got to fight for the Commonwealth title, vacant Commonwealth title. So he comes through that, then we can look further for the future. But he's fighting, he's pretty confident himself. So who knows? Don't want another Wallin and one of those situations on our hands. I just need Daniel to go out there and do what he does and does well, which is to be patient and work behind his jab and hopefully take the guy out.
And like you said, he's starting to relish the spotlight a bit more than what we've seen earlier in his career. He's here today in another flashy suit. I suppose he's taking some advice from you.
I don't know. He actually gave me his tailor's card today. No, he's looking the part, isn't he? And why shouldn't he? He's a young man. He's doing well for himself and giving a good account of himself. And he's certainly looking the part now outside the ring as well. Yeah.
Do you think that's one of the benefits of throwing him in with Gorman as early as you did? Obviously, it was a risk for both fighters early in their career, but they insisted on having it, and you were a bit sceptical about making it that early, but you did, and now already it seems like there's an extra level to him in terms of like star power.
Yeah, it does, and I think the public acknowledged that. They could see these two guys. Although with Nathan and him, they were both undefeated, and everybody had a view on the fight. A lot of people fancied Nathan to do the job after a few rounds, and if Daniel hadn't taken him out, it all transpired and he won the fight. But that I think, from Daniel's perspective and point of view, has gotten him more fans. The fact that he did step up to the plate, he didn't avoid the fight, nor has he avoided anybody who's been put in front of him. This guy he's fighting is the guy he's got to fight for the Commonwealth. Another undefeated fighter, so it's going to be quite an interesting night.
Always a bit of an aura now when he steps in the ring. I noticed the last time we were at Royal Albert Hall, the kind of mood shifted.
There's a bit of electric, isn't there, in the air? You waited the anticipation for it and so forth. But look, the crowds, the boxing public, the crowds love the big guys, don't they? They love the big heavyweights, and if they're explosive, even more so. You've seen that with Anthony Joshua and Tyson when he was stopping a load of guys on early on in his career. The crowds love that. That's what they like to see with big men.
Nicola Adams returning to the ring on Friday. There was talk of it being a unification fight, and then she got the belt without fighting. I think she was a bit upset that she didn't have to win it, and now this is kind of winning it outright for her, isn't it? What's happened so far with that fight? Well,
she was going to have the unification, but the girl she was fighting, I think it's for the IBF version, she got injured, so she weren't available. So now, as you just said, that's what's going on. She goes in as champion. She was the interim. The champion, something happened to her. She was injured, so she's now become champion. But this fight obviously is a fight in the ring for the belt, and she'll probably get more pleasure out of that if she comes through winning that one.
Any pleased to see her back in the ring? It's been a little while.
It's a long time, and we lost a lot of momentum. I've got to be really honest about it. Is that we got her off to a good start, and she, for various reasons, some personal from her perspective, and a couple of other things happened. She's not had the momentum that was needed. Hopefully this is a start of, if she comes through the fight, start of her being more busy, more active, and that'll be great for her and obviously great for women's boxing.
And another good fight on the undercard. Obviously we had Bevan Green a couple of weeks back. Great undercard, lots of close fights there. Now we've got Archie Sharp against Declan Garrity, which I think is probably a sort of sneaky show stealer, isn't it? Somewhere on the undercard.
Well, that. I mean, he always has a good fight, Archie. And Declan's coming to another one. He fancies the job, so I think we're going to get I think you will get a crowd pleaser out of that. That's got like fight written all over it.
And again, it's more spotlight on Archie Sharp. And I think last time we were here having a press conference and Archie was here, he was mentioning the name of like Jamel Herring and things like that. How far should he come through on Friday night? How far in his future do you think those kind of big fights are?
I think a couple of more fights, and we can get him in that position, and then fingers crossed we can make a fight for him where he got an opportunity of winning a world title.
And then going forward in the calendar, in the schedule, we've got Josh Warrington on the 12th of October.
Yeah.
And then what do we have going on past that?
We've got a couple of small shows, then we're doing a big show probably in Cardiff. We're going to be announcing that soon. And then, subject to what happens on Friday, another show in London in December.
And saying it's subject to happening on
Subject.
Friday.
Well, we've got to get, we've got
it's a heavyweight one.
Yeah, heavyweight one. And obviously we've got to get Joe Joyce out, amongst many others. I want to see a comeback fight for Anthony Yarde. So we're going to be busy. Great for domestic boxing. We're about British boxing, domestic boxing. That's what we're about.
How much have you spoken to Anthony since Russia?
I spoke to him a couple of times over the weekend. He was coming to football with us on Saturday, coming to the Arsenal match, but I think he had a bit of food poisoning, so he couldn't make it. And he's going on holiday for a couple of weeks. So when he gets back, we're going to sit down with him and the team and go through what the future is.
How was he feeling? Because he was saying he felt like he had the right to be upset, and Tunde is obviously trying to be very positive all the time, and Anthony was saying, oh no, I want to be upset, I'm angry about this, Is he kind of thinking he wants to get back straight at that level and get retribution, or is he willing to accept that there's maybe a couple of fights, more experience required?
Look, I know I bore everybody with it. Amateur-wise, 12 fights, that's no experience as a fighter. And was it 20 fights now, roughly 20 fights he's had as a pro? And then you're going with a guy with the amount of experience that Kovalev had, been there for a long time, fought great at amateur level, also world champion, I think 15 defences of the title, was it 14 or 15 defences? That's a big step up for him, but he showed he deserves to be in that class, and he was that much away from winning it. He really was that much away from stopping him. If he got the tactics a bit right, a bit differently, if he'd have done that earlier on, might have been a different story. He waited until the 8th round before he actually put it on him. I think if he'd have done it a bit earlier, it may have been a different story. But you know what? It's experience, and you learn from experience. What he showed, though, he deserves to be up there in that class. And I think that even though he come away with a loss on it, that'll stand him in good stead. And I think that the British public, everybody I speak to about the fight, they all really now appreciate how good Anthony Yarde is and how good he can be.
And Joe Joyce, I've seen him and Sam Jones just calling everyone out. Is that giving you a headache? I know sometimes it can be hard to find an opponent because no one really wants to fight him, do they?
Well, they don't. It's the fact you've got to take your hat off to him, Joe. He does want to fight anybody. He's a man in a hurry, but we're working hard on it, and hopefully we'll have a big name for him, or a decent name for him, for his fight in December.
And as for Josh, I mentioned his fight earlier against Sofian Takuc. He looked. When we saw him at the press conference, he actually looked a bit devastated because he was hoping for that big sort of Vegas fight, wasn't he?
Yeah.
I think now he's got his training head on and he's ready for the fight, and it's all switched on again. But what are you expecting from his?
Well, he's a consummate professional. He's a professional, and his dad Sean has done a marvellous job with him. He's a great trainer, they're a great team, and he'll have that. He's got his fighting head on. And listen, you can't take it for granted. The guy is the highest available contender for him to fight in the IBF, and that's what we've done. We delivered the next best thing. Then after that, we've got to look at trying somehow to get a unification. But they don't want to fight him. Santa Cruz didn't want to fight him, and after Cole Frampton had his fight with Josh, he said he was a much better fighter than Santa Cruz, and I'm sure Santa Cruz heard that and knows that. So he's out the picture, and Valdez moved up a weight, which left, what's his name, Checker Stevenson to fight for the vacant title. So hopefully early next year, we can get a fight on. I want to do one at Elland Road. We want to get him on at Elland Road. We want to get him back there. And the only way we can do that is with a big fight. So we're going to be moving heaven and earth for him.
And are you going to get Big Sean over to Vegas at any point?
Oh, could you imagine? Yeah, I'd love to. I mean, look, Josh is a great guy. I mean, I really, enjoy promoting him. He was one of them that was going to be left behind. There weren't enough effort and work put into him. They just sort of parked him up and considered him not to be worthy of it. He came with me, and I made it. I say came with me. I made him an offer which I knew they wouldn't refuse. Came with us, and we delivered. And he's shown now what he's all about. He is top quality, and he deserves all he gets. And I'm going to really, as I say, move heaven and earth to deliver him a big fight.
Lovely. Cheers, Frank.
Thank you, mate.
Thank you very much.
Cheers.